I'm Bruce Gordon. During the Cuban Missile Crisis of October 1962, the U.S. Air Force dispersed its fighters from our major bases to smaller fields throughout the country so that in the event of a surprise Russian ballistic missile attack on our major fields, some of our fighters would survive to be able to defend the country. One of the bases that dispersed its fighters was George Air Force Base in California. For air defense fighter pilots, the crisis started out looking like an unannounced exercise. They recalled the pilots, uploaded weapons on all their planes, and waited for orders. Then came the order: activate the emergency war plan. They went to the safe, took out the plan, and read deploy 4 F-102s to Wendover Air Force Base, Utah. Wendover is a small base located on the high Nevada desert. There is a range there so you can fire air-to-air missiles, and it's unpopulated so missiles can fall down without injuring people on the ground. The pilots grabbed their shaving kits, a change of underwear, and soon were airborne, heading for Utah. Wendover is a small base with no aircraft permanently assigned. Fighter squadrons which use the base are supposed to bring their own maintenance crews to support them. When the 4 F-102s arrived over Wendover, they called the tower for landing instructions. No answer. They called again, still no answer. They flew around, the runway looked open, so they landed and taxied in. Nobody came out to meet them, so they taxied in front of base operations, shut down the planes, and opened their canopies. Nobody there. There were no ladders, so they climbed out of the cockpit and dropped about 8 feet to the ground. They looked around and found some chocks to put around the wheels and went to base operations to see what they could find. Nobody was at base ops, so they broke a window, climbed in, and opened the door from the inside. Once inside, they looked around, and there was a panel behind the counter, and there were a whole bunch of keys on the panel marked for various places. 3 of the pilots took keys and went out to the fuel trucks. The 4th one looked for a way to call back. The dispatch phone behind the counter was dead, but there was a payphone on the wall. So he took out a dime and placed a call back to George and asked for the command post, reversing the charges. The command post told him that a convoy of maintenance men and vehicles was being assembled, but it would take about 3 days for them to get to Wendover. Meanwhile, the other fighter pilots had got a fuel truck and power carts running, taken them out to the planes, refueled the planes. They found some ladders in a hangar so they could get back up into the cockpits, and pretty soon they were refueled and ready for combat. They sat on alert for hours, and pretty soon they began to get hungry. They had nothing to eat. Then someone came to the door. Some residents of Wendover, who were contractors at the base, had been driving past and saw the planes on the ramp and wondered who was there. The pilots told them their story and told them they were getting hungry. The men went back to Wendover and called on the churches. The ladies of Wendover promptly put together some very nice lunch baskets and drove them out to operations. Thanks to the people of Wendover, The fighters were able to stay on alert until the relief convoy arrived from George. These men had overcome obstacles, and using a payphone as a scramble line, they had been ready to defend the nation. They showed the spirit of attack.